Knowing what your financial state is would also help you nurture your decision-making abilities. Some people find themselves in debt and afraid for their financial future. Here on Good Morning Sri Lanka, we take a practical turn to the practical guidelines on how to manage your money. This is Good Morning Sri Lanka. I'm your host, Jason.
And I am Amaya, and I'm sure that Jason feels this way, I feel this way. Many of you would feel that no matter how hard you work, at the end of the month, it's always hard to pay your bills, and it's always difficult to make ends meet. And this is true for so many Sri Lankans today, because we are all going through tough financial times. The cost of living is higher, electricity has gone up, there are so many things that you need to worry about. So managing your basic household budget is something that is essential knowledge that everyone should have. And here on Good Morning Sri Lanka, we have some tips and tricks for you to manage your household budget to make ends meet at the end of the month.
Yeah, right? I didn't get that at first, like when you said, hey, me and Jason know what we're talking about. Excuse me, I manage my financials very well. Thank you very much.
So everyone except Jason will find this show very useful today.
I'm joking, no. Everyone has that problem. And we have an expert, another one in the studio. We have Tarindu Amarsekar, the founder of the Tarindu Amarsekar Consulting. And he is a lecturer of economics and management at Wisdom Business Academy. Let's please welcome Tarindu. Good morning.
Morning.
Hey, how are you doing?
Tarindu.
Morning, Jason.
Nice to officially meet you.
Yes, this is mine. Morning, Amaya.
Pleasure to have you here on the show with us.
Thank you.
How's your morning been?
So far so good.
Because you came on Good Morning Sri Lanka.
Obviously.
Alright, first things first. What is financial management?
I would put it down to one word: planning. It's all about making sure that you got your incomes and your expenses sorted. And as long as you have the plan to make sure that your expenses are lower than what your income is, right? I think that's financial management for a layman, or for anybody who has even no idea about financial management. That's what you need to keep in mind. And I guess, especially in today's environment, it's quite important because majority of us, I would say majority of people in many of the economies around the world, they live paycheck to paycheck. Last month, there was a report that over 70% of the Americans, are living paycheck to paycheck. So, if you've got the plan sorted out, and I would say that setting out that plan is actually not that hard, because you speak to anybody now, that person would know, okay, for the rest of the month or rest of the year, what will the incomes be and what will the expenses be. So, it's just a matter of, sitting down, laying out the plan. Okay, July, August, September, October, November, December, these are my salaries, these are my other sources of income, and going by the previous records, utility bills, what will it be on an average. Of course, it can sort of deviate, and the truth is sometimes you plan, but it ends up being that you're nowhere near the plan at the end of the month. But having a plan makes sure that you're within some amount of control, and that's the first or the starting step, I would say.
And we had another episode some weeks back about general budgeting and planning of your finances, but today's episode we're going to be focusing on household financial planning and how you can manage a household budget. So how important is it for a household, a unit in the economy, to have this budget planned out?
Well, I would say it's the most important thing, because
more than a corporation?
Definitely.
Oh.
Because you take today an economy, when we say budget, we look at a company budget, we look at a country's budget, and then we take a household budget, personal budgets. But if you take, you were surprised when I said that it was more important than a corporate. Yeah. What do you have more in any country in the world? I think Jason can chip in as well. What do you have more in the world? Do you have more companies or do you have more families?
Oh, it's true, families. All right.
More families. So if more of the units are families, then their budget is what matters. So if they've got their budget sorted out, then I guess everything will fall into place. Because if families begin to consume beyond their means, beyond their budget, then companies begin to produce beyond their budget, right? And then when suddenly families realize and they take the step back, well, the companies crash. And when the companies crash, people lose jobs, then the families crash. So you trace back everything. It's actually going to the simple reason that the families were not careful with their budget.
Of course.
Right? You take today the world economies that are crashing, you take US, that had a huge hit. I mean, simply the reason is that, the families were not careful, right? They were overspending, right? Cheap credit was available, yes. Banks gave money for almost for nothing, right? But they wouldn't come to the house and give it, somebody has to go take that loan,
Of course.
and, have to spend beyond their means.
Right.
And if you look at today, one main reason why, especially if you take between Japan and US, right? Both two developed countries, but if you look at it, who was hit more further, US was hit more further during the financial crisis than Japan itself. And the real reason for that is, if you actually take a look at how people have spent money. In US, 45% of a household wealth, they went and dumped in on the stock market. And if they didn't have that money, they will actually borrow money, and rather than using it for their own business establishment, they will go and try to put that into a stock market and earn. But if you take Japan, only 16% of their household wealth was actually put in the stock market, right? So those who are careful with their finances basically make it through any storm, any financial storm. I mean, that was the lesson that we learned.
But it's funny that you mention it, because I was under the impression personally that investing in the stock market is actually a good way of spending your money. Instead of putting it into a fixed deposit, you go and put it into the stock market, and that's a good way to invest your money. But you're saying that there are repercussions of doing that.
Oh, no, definitely. I mean, even with stock markets, fixed deposits, they're all ways of making more money out of existing money, right? It's just that stock markets will bear a high risk, but of course, if things go your way, you also do get a high return. But
of course,
you have to be careful with where you invest money, right? I mean, any stock market will have ups, will have downs. The lucky ones, yes, they get into the market when it's at a down, and they sell off when it's at a up, and they disappear, right? But it's still a better way. I mean, I would say that borrowing money and putting it into a stock market, expecting high returns, and then to pay back that loan is not actually the way forward. Right? You need to be ready, because stock market, suddenly if it crashes, what you had 1 lakh today, tomorrow can be 10,000, right? If the market crashes. But you put it into fixed saving, I mean, that risk is no longer there. But of course, if things go well, the person who put money in the stock market will get more. I mean, that's an opportunity cost, what we call it.
Of course.
Right. For the people watching at home and they're listening to this is pretty basic. What are the, how can you benefit from financial planning your household?
Well, to begin with, if you do, I mean, I like the word that you use now, Jason. You said financial planning. When I sat here, you said financial management, right? So if you plan it properly, one thing is, you'll be free of headaches.
Right.
And the thing is, if you sit down and if you plan properly for the year, okay, this will be my income, this will be my expenses, you actually can make it through without going for additional credit or debt, or without the hassle of overused credit card bills coming all your way, right? And also, you don't have to look like the guy who is always with the begging bowl by going and asking for additional increments and early bonuses and stuff, right? So, if you plan it properly, you can make sure that your financial funds will be used more smoothly. And I always say that when you use your finances, whatever income you have, of course, yes, part of it goes for your expenses, another part for investments, and another part for savings. Now, it's very important that this process of planning, you get everybody involved. It's not just you, right? And if you're married, get your wife involved, get your kids involved, right? Encourage them to tell the expenses early, right? Make them aware of what the real situation is, right? Because sometimes you find families, they try to respond and they try to fulfill the dreams of kids which are actually not within their means. So they need to have a taste of the reality. Sometimes, knowing the taste of the reality, creates stronger kids.
Of course.
Right? And also, it's very important that you understand that financial planning for a personal level, right? It will depend on what type of family we are looking at. Are we looking at a family where there is only one breadwinner? Or are we looking at where both the husband and wife are earning and working for the family?
Right.
And also, if in that case, yes, you need to sit together and plan out. And also, it may be a case of an entrepreneurial family. A lot of families are now becoming entrepreneurs, starting their own businesses. I being a lecturer at Wisdom, I work with Dale, on a weekly basis with more than 1,000, 2,000 students, and it's very encouraging to see, some people actually, you ask them, what do you want to be? Do you like to start a job or work somewhere? They're like, no, so you know what, after I finish this level I plan to start up my own company. Young kids, right? And that's the way forward, because Jason, you look at the European economy, right? We hear about Italy crashing, France struggling, and Greece going into a recession and depression, but Germany is a big success story out of all these. Why? Because even today Germany is called Mittelstand, and the reason for that is that they are very entrepreneurial, right? They are really, a lot of families are looking at starting their own business and going forward. So if you are a family like that, then of course you might actually have to depend on things like bank overdraft facilities, or extended credit line. But the good news is that a lot of Sri Lankan banks, the bank managers, they are there to help you out. So if you talk to them, they will surely help you. The third type is the hybrid. You get, I would say, like in my case, right? Because I have my own business plus I'm working for Wisdom. So it ends up being sometimes, where you get money from your day job, but then some of it you need to pool it into your own business. But the good news is, to be frank, it actually ends up being a saving, because humans actually, have a very bad habit, and that is what we call greed is good. That's basically greed by which many humans live unintentionally. Right? The thing is, you have money, humans are very good at finding ways to spend it. Right? We are very poor at finding reasons to save, but we are excellent at finding reasons to spend. So if you actually invest it in your own business, you might actually end up being in a situation where it has actually become a saving for you, right? So then you need to plan out, okay, I'm going to get these monthly incomes from my day job or the main job, and then this is how I'm going to channel it into my own business, right? And then this is how I'm going to manage the returns. Ideally, part of your income from your main job, channel it into your own business, and then whatever returns that come out of it, use it to further grow that business. That is your plan B. Right, your normal job, yes, it's there with you, but it can be gone at any time. But nobody can kick you out of your own company, right? But you need to have the passion for it, Jason. Right? You find lots of businesses starting, but not going the distance. Despite if you check the founders, they've had lots of education background, but it's simply there is no passion. Business for the sake of business never works. It's business for the sake of passion. That's how two computer kids with no idea on business starts a company, and it ends up being worldwide a super phenomenon in terms of business, and today we call it Google.
Yes,
right? So it's quite important that you manage these quite carefully.
Right, on that note, we'll get a bit more into the passion of your business as well. We're going to a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with more Good Morning Sri Lanka, but do check out our Facebook page on www.facebook.com/Good Morning Sri Lanka. Click the like button and stand the chance to win merchandise from MTV.